chapter lab, whatever you call it. So this is kind of a cool slide, I guess. This is one of those 2-for-1 deals. What do you suppose this thing is? That's the trachea. What's this then? That's the esophagus, okay? You'll learn more about the histology of the esophagus next week when we do the digestive system chapter. But anyway, here's the trachea. What do you suppose that layer is right there? The epithelial layer, and what is it going to be again? Pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium with goblet cells, right? All right. What's this layer here? Any guesses?
Cartilage?
That's the cartilage, right? That's the hyaline cartilage that you find inside the trachea. Now notice it's not a complete ring, right? It's not complete posteriorly. So where it faces the esophagus, you don't have any cartilage. But what you do have is this little thing running across here, and that's the trachealis muscle. Okay, that's a little muscle on the posterior surface of the trachea that's present there. What else can you see on here? So yeah, that would be the epithelial layer. Right underneath the epithelial layer, you have a connective tissue layer called the lamina propria. You learned about lamina propria in ap1. Basically, any place in the body that you have a mucous membrane, you have the epithelial part, and then you have the connective tissue part. And the fancy word for the connective tissue part of a mucous membrane is the lamina propria. So that's where the lamina propria would be. But I have some better pictures than that. So let me go on to some better pictures. Here is a slide just focusing on the trachea. They don't have the esophagus on here. Any superstars want to tell me what they think this is? I'll give you a hint. There's lots of purple. You see lots of purple. Does anyone remember from a previous chapter what has lots of purple? White blood cells. So what do you think this might be? This is a lymph node. Okay, that's a lymph node sitting over there. Right. All right, so here's the trachea again. In this particular one, you can't see the trachealis muscle so well. I don't know if it's just how they cut it. You do see some little clusters of like purple around in here. You go up a little bit closer. Those are actually glands. Those are called seromucous glands. The purple that you see in there is the hyaline cartilage. Once again, this is where you can't really see it, but that's where your pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium would be. Some other pictures. Here's a close-up. The wall. Up here, you can see the epithelial layer pretty well, and you can see actually the little cilia, and interspersed every now and then, you can actually see some of the goblet cells. Where you see those white areas are the goblet cells. This little connective tissue layer right underneath, that's where the lamina propria would be. This layer here is the submucosa. Those are the glands. Basically, these are a bunch of little circular glands that are sitting in the submucosa. They're called seromucous glands. They're called that because some of the fluid they secrete is a serous fluid, which is very watery. Some of the fluid they secrete is a mucus, which is more is thicker, is more like gel-like. This here represents the hyaline cartilage layer. Go back to A&P1 slides if you forget what hyaline cartilage looks like. That's hyaline cartilage. The weird things that they colored here in yellow, I'm not even sure. I think they did that after the fact. I think they were just trying to divide up the layers. I'm not really sure why they did that. Although you do have a thin membrane on the outside of the cartilage called the perichondrium. I don't think that's it though. I think they just colored in with marker. They're probably trying to just highlight the cartilage. All right. Another one. Yet another one. So once again, there would be the pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium goblet cells. Right underneath would be the lamina propria. Here's the submucosa. Again, this whole area represents clusters of these seromucous glands. Here's your hyaline cartilage down there. Still more, just can't get enough. So here's a good close-up though. So, you can see it has a pseudostratified appearance to it. These white spots represent the goblet cells that are interspersed there. You can see the little cilia up at the surface. Here's a nice, so this area right in here would be the lamina propria, and then this down here, these are clusters of some of these seromucous glands. Down here, it looks like barely seeing a little bit of the hyaline cartilage, but that's 400x magnification, so you're pretty close. This here, anyone know what this is? What's that? Yeah, these are alveoli. This is the lungs. All right. So, I mean, some of these things, like the bigger things, would classify as alveolar sacs, I guess. But all of the little things here would be considered alveoli. I'm not even really sure. Yeah, I mean, all you really need to identify is if I show you this slide, I say, where did this come from? You say lungs. If I point to one of these little guys, just say alveoli. Okay. I don't think. And here's another picture of lung tissue. I think it's pretty easy to identify. I don't think I'll have too many problems with it. So that's pretty much it for the microscope slides. Like I said, I'll save the other stuff for review on Tuesday.